In June, we found out we were pregnant, and we were ecstatic and so excited that we were having a baby. As my pregnancy progressed on, it seemed to just get tougher and tougher. I was very, very, very sick. They decided to go ahead and induce me at 37 weeks. So we went over to the hospital on Tuesday the 3rd. So we did Pitocin and tried to induce the labor, and nothing seemed to work. So I labored for 30 hours, and then Knox started to decel. So they sent us in for an emergency C-section, and within 20 minutes he was out. We got to have our little boy for 36 hours before he stopped breathing.
I mean, you never think of holding a lifeless child in your hands, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. We gave the nurse a call. She came right in and looked at him, patted him on the back a few times, and took off to the NICU with our little boy.
And the next thing we knew, we were just standing there. We had no idea what was going on, and all of a sudden we started hearing code blue over the thing, and within 15 minutes we had nurses running up into our room and from the NICU saying that they had been able to resuscitate him, but he was on a ventilator, couldn't breathe on his own. We had a meeting with the doctor right after that, and he told us, there's a list of things that could have happened. We really don't know what's going on, but basically it looked like the baby had not been breathing for 20 to 30 minutes. Somehow been shallow breathing, and unless you're a medical professional, you wouldn't notice. So they told us, it just doesn't look good. He has significant brain damage, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on.
I just remember the initial sit down with that doctor. He was trying to tell us how bad the situation was, like we didn't really know. Like we were just those crazy folks, and I guess we were. But he told us that he had a blood gas level of minus 30. And what that means is if you were headless for over a minute, you wouldn't even be that bad off. And we said, well, we know. And we know that's not really, that's bad, but that's not anything, that's not a problem for God.
So we went back up to our room and we just started praying.
We brought so many people into that first weekend he was in the NICU to pray over him.
So that was the rule. If you came to visit him, you had to pray for him. We left the hospital on Sunday, and on Monday they did an MRI and an EEG. Then that Monday night, we had a meeting with the doctor, and he told us that there was a 0% chance of survival, that they didn't think he was going to make it. He said, and we'll run some tests, and he said, I don't want to take your hope away from you, but it doesn't look good. Basically, you'll have to choose when to pull out the ventilator. But he also looked at us and said, but that's not God's medicine. That I'm just a man, and I'm just presenting you the medical facts. And my husband looked at them and said, have you ever seen a baby come back from being this sick? And he said, well, just one. And he said, well, get ready to meet number 2. And that was a big turning point for me because he's very mild-mannered and doesn't say things like that. So we left, and I remember the next morning walking into the NICU and just had a heavy heart. And I remember sitting next to his bed. It was the first day that we could touch him after being in the NICU. And I grabbed his hand and I just wept and I cried and I prayed. And I said, Lord, I just pray for your will to be done, not what I want to be done, but your will. And if your plan is to take my child, Lord, I just don't want him to struggle. So take him now. If he doesn't need to stay here and hurt and fight if it's not going to be for anything. Well, by Tuesday night, we came in and he was awake. His eyes were open, and it was such small movement, but it seemed like such a big deal at the time. Watching him wiggle now is just, it's baffling how such small, tiny movements can make such a huge difference to us. But it meant everything. It was hope. And so as the weeks progressed on, he just continued to improve. Every time we'd pray for something, we'd have almost an immediate answer. On that Wednesday, the doctor said, it's not the same baby anymore. He said, he's reacting to pain. Before, he had stuck a needle in his leg. He didn't even move. He didn't flinch. And he said he's reacting. He says, and they took the ventilator out. He told us that it's not a matter of survival anymore. It's just a matter of quality of life. 2 weeks later, we had another MRI and an EEG. And anybody in the medical field knows that brain cells don't regenerate, and usually brain activity doesn't come back. Well, with his MRI, all the spots that were initially there were gone, and the EEG that he had that showed low activity, the one that he had at the repeat, showed a normal neonatal EEG. So it was just incredible. And so they started getting ready to come home, and he's been home for a month and just seems to be thriving. He's met every milestone that he's supposed to meet so far. We're just relearning how to eat.
Down at the store I work in Atlanta, there's this little community in Dunwoody, maybe not so little, but it's funny to go down to the Kroger down there and just how word got out about him, and strangers talking about the miracle baby. And
yeah, just in the hospital, everywhere we went. Yeah, it was you guys.
You'd overhear people talking about him, and you know.
Well, and a big turning point for us was Pastor Steve. That's how we ended up at this church, anyways. Decided that Kaylee and Randy Bunch are very, very close friends of us, and Carla, and Riley's Knox's best friend, and they decided that they were going to bring their pastor. They kept saying, "Can we bring him to pray? Can we bring him to pray?" We said, "Absolutely. We'd welcome that. We'd love for him to do that." And just having somebody that we didn't even know come out all the way from Gainesville to pray for him meant the absolute world to us. And so that's why we decided to even join Cornerstone. We said, that's exactly where we need to be. And it just was an incredible turning point to have him come and pray for him, and all that. It was, it meant the world to us, absolutely.
I thought I knew God before, but in comparison, I didn't. In the book of Matthew, Jesus says, "Whoever receives a child receives me." And I just can't think of a truer statement than that. I thought I was close to God, but nope.
Yeah, those 24 days in the NICU, we grew. I guess some people can let that tear apart their marriage and everything, and I think that's even another miracle that we received. Our marriage was it grew closer, and we grew closer in faith, and it's just incredible. It's so insane to hear people say, "Oh, you guys have such strong faith," and or "You guys are such strong people, or such good parents." And the whole time it was not us; it was God.
No, yeah, that's not me.
It was God just carrying us through. Definitely the footprint story, where there was only one set of footprints there. It wasn't us. We were on autopilot and just leaning on Him, and may not see it, but we broke down. There were days that we just cry out to God and just say,
I think out of everybody, Knox cried the least.
Yeah, absolutely.